working on a project called light forms, which as an object is a compressive glass block that can be used structurally, optically, and in various sort of patterns and orientations. Really zoomed out from that, we have an interest of trying to figure out how to bring more light and darkness into spaces, even passively for the occupant, so that we're just living more naturally with the cycles of day and night, even without thinking about it.
I think that, there's quite a few examples of different kinds of glass block in the world, some not structural, like maybe like the Pittsburgh Corning glass block, and then there's also been some really beautiful examples of structural glass cast examples in architecture today. TU Delft has delved into really being the forefront of developing that. We've really looked at our design in terms of having one block have optical capabilities and also reconfigurability in terms of one block can offer a lot of different orientations of aggregation. And also the blocks have negative voids created through press casting two halves together. And the voids are asymmetrical. So when you aggregate them in different ways, it actually gives you multiple different light signatures within the space as you aggregate them in different ways. So it gives that kind of flexibility to the designer to be able to understand what the light needs are in the space and aggregate according to those needs with the same block without having to take a whole bunch of different designs together. And then also there's this ability for the glue that we use. We use a silicone. So once we aggregate, if the building has a lifetime that it needs to come apart, we'll be able to cut those blocks apart, take off the adhesive, and then reconfigure them again. And which is a little bit different than traditional construction methods where there's concrete, there's metal around your glass windows and all these things. It makes it really difficult for recyclability of the glass. So having entire walls made of glass with just a little bit of adhesive really makes it the ability to recycle that whole wall system a lot easier, whether it's reconfiguring and building a new wall or melting it down.
My collaborator, Alli, and I are very much so both makers. So it's really important to us to be kind of digging deep and literally prototyping the blocks. And along the way, we've been using different ways of actually casting the glass that we have access to in terms of ladling immediately into graphite molds. And kind of learning from doing about what the form can be, how much it weighs, what the problems are, but always with an eye towards trying to figure out how to scale that up. And I think that's actually one of the biggest shortcomings, or I'd say difficult moments for us, is to try to move from what can we make in a studio to starting to move to processes that, just because it's how it's set up in the built world, are a little bit more expensive, or maybe we don't have access to in terms of the actual prototyping. So we're very keen on learning through the process as we go and seeing opportunities that come. So I'd say one of our difficulties is this sort of movement from small amounts that we can do and we can test with, to getting that many more bigger amounts, to getting something that we can imagine having thousands and thousands of pieces, but not necessarily having the constant access to okay, this would be the next mold, or the investment in this next mold or this one, but always eyeing towards what are the constraints of making that happen. I would also say that we both, we like to be very agile on our feet. So, of course, you run into things with glass in terms of, do we use this adhesive or this tool, and where does it break? Where is it not going to break? What's too big? What's too small? And so I think some of it is actually, again, that sort of fabrication through making is something that allows us to take the shortcomings to only begin to allow all the small adjustments that get us towards what we hope one day will be many pieces in a structure that one can be entirely consumed in these light forms. Kind of zooming way back with this idea of having the ability to have more passive light and darkness in a space, the envisions have more to do, not just with light forms, but any objects that we're creating being something that helps to assist someone's experience of light or the natural setting just in their everyday. So as we move from doing structures that maybe are more pavilion size, even furniture scale, wall section prototypes, we do envision having spaces where it actually is a living and working space, somewhere where someone can actually spend their life as a way that's an opportunity to feel that sensation, but also in collaboration with some of our other collaborators that we have at the University of Michigan to literally study with the Sleep and Circadian Rhythm Research Laboratory. The idea is to use the space to actually watch as someone's time longer, and this helps their mood, helps their health, helps their sleep patterns. So it's a little bit of the kind of ethos of thinking through, like, we have an instinct that this is very important. We're in very much so an overly lit world and a very digitized world, and we're actually losing some of these beautiful light qualities. So if we can literally absorb them more into the space and actually into the material itself, the light forms let it become something. I don't know, in a way you sort of get the color and the texture and the feel of what's around you, and it's only, in essence, literally thickened there for a moment and then with you. I think we envision, we would love to be in giant spaces made of these, right?
I think that, I feel like everyone that like comes across glass that kind of like, I don't know, for me at least, it's like a couple of like main ingredients, I think, is like you have to be a glutton for punishment. Glass is hard, and you're gonna, I don't know, for those of you who meet their first failure with glass, the ones that are tenacious and that want to learn more and like want to like figure it out and be a puzzle solver to actually get to their goal, I feel that those are the people that become addicted to working with glass, because every single time you think you know something, there's one extra factor that comes in. So it always, for me, it always keeps me so interested, because I feel like I'm constantly learning new things. So I think that glass is like this great teacher in terms of like how to be a curious person for the rest of your life. It's been a great teacher for me, and it constantly keeps me interested and on my toes and fascinated. So I think that, I don't know, it's been such a, I don't know, it's been such an adventure kind of working with glass in general. And always, like, I think that with glass, like if you ever have a like something not working, it usually becomes something that offers an opportunity that you haven't thought about. So I think that like that always in the back of your head when you like come across something that doesn't work in glass, like be like, what is working? And I think that like that has been like a big kind of like change in like my knowledge of glass. It'd be like, always just listen to it, because there's always something else that's very interesting that I could be telling you too.